Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 6 of the Tik and Chris podcast. My name is Christopher Long, and coming to me live from his secret hideaway is.
Pratik Desai. I am in the basement in my man cave, so that is my secret highway.
Yeah, you have a legit man cave?
This is the man cave. Look, I've got Blastoise with me. I've got just all kinds of toys. Yeah, this is the man cave. It's a lot smaller than it probably looks on camera. I will tell you that.
Well, okay, so that's a nice segue. Speaking of things that are small, before we get
Yes.
into today, um, Google has dropped. Is it a drop? Is it like
Yeah.
a crypto asset? Like you're saying, I dropped this. Um, it's a new tiny
It's a
model.
product drop. I'm going with product
Yeah,
drop. It's a
product
product
drop.
drop. These things
Okay.
are commodities. They're products at this point. Yeah.
Okay. So they dropped a new tiny model.
hmm
Um, I'm going to call it Gemma 4. Is it Gemma or Gemma? It's got to be Gemma, right?
I've been trying to figure that out because I knew you were going to bring this up, and I've decided that it's probably Gemma. Probably
Okay.
Gemma.
Okay. We're going
Only
to call it
because they
Gemma,
have things called gems, right?
right?
So
That's
I
fair.
I would think Gemma. Okay, yeah.
Right. They're not that crazy to have like Gemmas and gems in the same ecosystem, right? Don't answer
Let's not
that. It's
comment
fine.
on that. Yeah,
Yeah.
let's just keep
Okay.
going. Yeah.
All right. So Gemma 4. It is
Yes.
a tiny model.
hmm
Um, I have yet to start trying to run my own always on autonomous agent, but you
hmm
have tried. So I wanted to get
Yes,
your opinion on if you would switch. I think you said you're using Kimmy K right now as a
that's right.
model. If you would maybe not switch, but try this new
hmm
model, because the whole idea is that it's small and light and it runs really
hmm
well on pretty much any hardware you have, like you can run on a phone. So
Yeah.
would you be willing to like test it out?
I am consistently testing out new models. So the answer is yes, unequivocally. But the question then becomes like, as these models get smaller, um, what benefit am I getting? And I think the challenge that I'm having is that I've dedicated an entire laptop to this thing, and the cost benefit analysis, we've talked a lot about this, like what it's doing with my calendar management is not worth dedicating all this hardware, right?
Right.
It's just not worth it. So as the models get smaller, like I'm now dusting off older, even older laptops to bring out that are just sitting around, and I'm like, yeah, it should be able to run this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and as long as the model can facilitate the single use case that I'm really doing, right, that's great. Obviously now, we're entering a world where potentially you don't have to do that,
Mm-hmm.
uh, because Claude is doing all kinds of things now. We'll talk about that later. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I think I'm going to continue to adopt the new models. I'm going to continue to explore, as things get smaller. And look, do you need an LLM to do just one use case? No, you don't, right? You need small language models to do that that are purpose built. So I think this is going to continue to happen. I'm an open source um, consumer. Like I just want to try them all. I want to see what happens. And I have now decided my next project with open source is I'm going to have Llama 4 and Gemma 4 talk to each other. So I've got a
Oh.
Python script that I'm
Mm-hmm.
developing, and I say developing, I'm totally vibe coding the Python script to essentially take the two and talk to each other and just see what happens. I'm going to turn off the internet
Yeah.
essentially, and I'm going to have them run on a siloed laptop and just say you can do anything. You have the entire laptop, go see, and then just run it for 12 hours and see what happens.
Yeah. Okay. Let us know how that goes. Before
Yeah,
we move on, one quick follow up to this, because I haven't tried this yet. I don't know. How
yeah,
easy is it? OpenClaw, is that correct? That's what you're
yes.
running? Okay. How
hmm
easy is it with OpenClaw to swap the model, which is the brain, so to speak?
Um, I'm hesitating because I want to be careful assuming personas that listen to us, right? Like for
Hmm.
our audiences, um, if you're a developer that's done CLIs, like you use CLI as a modus operandi, I mean, it's simple. It's quite simple, Chris. And your question assumes that you got the whole thing set up in the first place,
Right.
right? So,
Yeah.
so if you've got the whole thing set up and you're comfortable with CLI, like you're off to the races. You can swap out models very quickly. Um, the whole thing's a wrapper, and you can swap out what it's actually using. So it's quite simple. Um, the reason I hesitated is because I don't want to assume that you got it set up easily, which
Hmm.
then implies you can swap the models out easily. There's a little bit of work there, and there's a little bit of I need to understand what the CLI is and how to get to that point. But if you can do it, you can swap it out.
Okay. All right. So um, I'm excited to hear
Yep.
about um, your
Well,
two
and
model experiment and if they're going
yes,
to be best friends.
I mean, Facebook and Google, what better best friends? But the last thing I'll say is on that note on simplicity, is I probably would recommend, like, if you're not really interested in OpenClaw and you're not interested in the security aspects and trying to work around that, like Olama, get on Olama and try out these
I,
models.
I tried a llama on the laptop I'm using to record this podcast.
Okay.
This laptop is maybe a 2021 or two. Oh no, it's
Hmm.
a 2020. So it's 6 years old now. And Olama just chokes it. Like this is a MacBook
Really,
Pro, and it just chokes it. It
really
like it is turns it into, it makes it unusable. Um, yeah.
interesting. So I'm surprised by that because I'm running Olama. I think this laptop right here. You can't see this, but I've got about five
Yeah.
laptops in front of me right now. This laptop that I'm specifically running Olam on is I think it's from like 2016, and it's a
Really?
Windows. It's a Windows PC.
Oh,
I've
it's Windows.
reformatted it like so many times. Um, I don't know what the difference here is, and we have to actually talk about topics that we plan for the show at some point here, but that's fascinating. That's
Yeah.
fascinating that it doesn't work. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, it's an Intel chip Mac, but you're right. Like
Hmm.
that's a talk for another day on helping me troubleshoot my old laptop.
Yeah.
Um, so what is in the news a lot lately is
Hmm.
Anthropic. Like
Yeah, I would say
they
so.
are
They've been busy.
every week so busy every week. Um, and there's a rumor now that maybe the reason they're able to drop so frequently right now is about is because of a new model, which we will talk about.
Yeah.
Like maybe that supermodel is helping them like churn out things, but that's
Um,
not how we're going to start. So we're going to talk about the
mhm.
release they did this week, which is a feature called managed agents. Just came out. I haven't had a chance to build one, but I've
Yeah.
done some research to understand what they are. And basically, it is like you build an agent on their platform. It lives in the cloud. It gives you a container. It can connect to all the tools
Hmm.
that Claude has agreements with, right? And it can connect to other MCP servers if you have credentials and whatnot. So what it means is I can build an agent. I
Yep.
don't have to host it. I don't have to worry about infrastructure, all of those things. It has a thing called a vault. So
Hmm.
for my credentials, which connect to MCP servers and whatnot, so the agent is capable and can do things, it keeps all of that protected. I don't
Hmm.
have to manage that either. And
Yes.
then beyond that, I build it, it's deployed. I can work it into whatever app, however I want. If I want to build a front end around the agent I built, I can do that and plug it in. If I want to use it as some kind of agentic process that a different app uses and the people never see
Hmm.
it, but my app talks to it, I can do that. Um,
Yep.
this seems like a big step on making these things easily deployable and manageable. And like, what does this mean for the market? Go.
Yeah. Go. Yeah, I'll answer all of those right
Okay.
here. Concrete answers, 100% confidence. I have no idea, but Chris, this is interesting, right? So when you told me about this, because you were the first person that had reached out and said they just dropped this, right? So what I did what I always do, and I went straight to platform.claude.com/docs, and I was like, show me. show me the capabilities. Like I want to know how they talk about this
Hmm.
in the API docs. So I'm gonna read out the left panel, and
Okay.
like this is what dropped, right? It's obviously the overview and the quick start and all that, but then first section after first steps is define your agent. And underneath that is like agent setup, tools, MCP server, permission policies, and skills. I mean, that's exciting, right? Just in itself. Then there's, you mentioned like agent environment, so like the container setup and securing your kind of credentials. Then it's delegating your work to your agent. So it's kind of like just flying, right? And you have a few options here that are interesting. I'll call them out. Access in GitHub, a lot of what we do on as developers on GitHub, adding files, which then starts to like make me think there's a knowledge repository, and then using memory.
Hmm.
That's interesting, right? Like if these things can actually remember things over a long context, like that's really interesting. Because I'm probably doing things repetitively over a long period of time myself, and I want them to do the same. Then there's advanced orchestration, multi-agent like things, working with files. So presumably this is like files outside that you haven't given it access
Hmm.
to, and it has references to files API and support. Then all of the skills, MCP, prompt engineering, test and evaluation. And here's what gets really interesting, right? Because let's face it, what we're describing is their answer to OpenClaw, I think. And so here's what gets interesting. There's an entire section on strengthening guardrails, reducing hallucination, increasing output consistency, mitigating jailbreaks, and reducing prompt leak. Um, my first reaction when you sent this to me is this a reaction to OpenClaw and them putting something really quickly out to the market? So I went to the docs and I was like, let's see how half baked this thing is, right? It doesn't feel half baked at all. I
Mm-mm.
mean,
It doesn't.
this is quite robust, and the fact that there's a guardrail section in there tells me, they didn't rush this release, and so I will between this episode and next episode promise that I will build something.
Okay.
I'll probably rebuild what I have. My biggest concern is how much is this going to cost, right? Because I can still do OpenClaw for pretty much free with free models that are open source.
With open
Um,
source models, yeah.
with open source, with open source models. With Claude, like I want to do this with Claude. I want to use Claude,
Hmm.
but how much is it going to cost me? Because that trade-off is important. And with everything going on, with the limitations that they're putting in front of us, I'm skeptical right now. I believe they're going to have a better tech. I
Hmm.
believe that they're going to push out better guardrails, but at what cost? As to me as an individual.
I two closing thoughts on this particular topic for
Mm-hmm.
me anyway. One, I think you correctly called out in the beginning. Why would I try this if I don't and pay for it,
Mm-hmm.
right? Why would I try this and pay for it if I don't have something that I'm getting the value back from? I mean,
Yeah.
there's always learning. Like learning is valuable. You want to pay just to do it, to learn it, great. But would you keep using it and keep paying for it without a real value return? Probably not. And then the other thing I wanted to mention was like, this is not, at least right now, while they make it easy to do, this isn't for casual users. Like, your
Mm-hmm.
subscription won't get you this. You have to use the API pricing.
Yep.
There's also a session cost.
Mm-hmm.
So that just invoking the agent, having it run, I think costs right now like 8 cents to turn the lights on for that
Yep.
session. And then you still go through your credits, your API credits, and things like that. So this is not a casual uh, project. This would be for folks who are like trying to build solutions. I would say, like, because you can still do all kinds of wonderful things without this through Claude
That's
that
correct.
are part of your subscription. But um, that's it. I wanted to get that out there.
No, I think that's important, right? And so then that brings us to like, what does it mean for the market? I don't know. I mean, it is it really surprising they got into agentic autonomous
Oh,
workers,
surely this
right?
is something they've been working on since day one,
Right, right. And so
right?
I think if we're saying market as it relates to like competition and companies, I don't think it means much. I think everyone expected this, right, as a
Hmm.
drop. It just puts pricing pressure on everyone, and everyone's jockeying for position. I think what it means for us as individuals is that there's going to be options, and that's good, right? Like
Hmm.
options um, give way to better pricing, give way to better, features, whatever it is. So I'm gonna keep trying things. I'm gonna keep
Good old
experimenting.
capitalism. Yeah.
Good old capitalism. My take is though is like I think about is the fact that I'm trying things largely tied to I'm finding value in them, and is the fact that I tried free things giving way to find value? I think the answer is
Hmm.
still yes. So I'm still not ready for things to get more expensive, and
Hmm.
I consider myself a power user, right? But I'm not finding enough justification as an individual
Right.
to start consuming, scaled pricing yet. So that's where I'm at, and if that's where I'm at, I imagine that's where most of the market's kind of playing with. So
Yeah.
um, that gives way to, I mean, as you said, Claude has been busy, and
They, they
in
have been busy, and this whole idea of what am I going to do that's valuable, I
yep,
think can carry us to the next like talking point. So like recently Anthropic announced a partner program.
that's right.
So if you're not in this world, a partner program are typically consulting partners that you can hire to do this stuff for you. So if I have a
Hmm.
company, I can go hire the Accentures and the Deloittes of the world to figure out a solution for my company and put it into place.
Hmm.
Right? That's one way they work. That's an option. So those are partners. I would imagine they also have partners who are just building tech on top of these solutions. So kind of two types of partners. I haven't been through all the details. So I'm not going to pretend like I know all the details. But this is a very common dynamic in software, right?
Yeah.
There's the company that makes the stuff, and then there's an ecosystem around it where people help customers implement the stuff.
Hmm.
Uh, I find that fascinating with Anthropic or OpenAI in particular because it's just not well defined yet. What are you going to offer?
Hmm.
What's helpful? What would people pay for? Um, and no matter what you do, unless you're just consulting on how to use something like Claude Cowork, like okay, put this on your desktop, it can make a spreadsheet, it can look at your files. Unless you're consulting on that, it is unclear to me how you build an end-to-end solution with these tools. Like you would have to weave in other things. You'd
Hmm.
have to weave in a front end. Um, if it's a large enterprise customer, you'd have to weave in a back end. Um,
Yeah.
so I wanted to hear your thoughts because you are like consultant extraordinaire,
I
and
appreciate that. Yeah.
I want to know like, do you see a clear path for being an Anthropic partner? Um, what do you think the kinds of services a good partner could provide?
Yeah. I mean, I, I'll give you my core kind of ethos to being a partner or consultant, like a good one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's just focus on being a good consultant. Um, Tools in your toolbox. The amount of tools you have, the better consultant you are. Like that's just plain and simple, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
if you're able to talk, business analysis, business process optimization, while also talking, APIs and batch transfers and yada yada yada. Um, those are tools you have in your toolbox as a consultant. And I think in 2026, one of the tools you probably need to have in your toolbox is the ability to talk AI, right? That's AI strategy, AI governance, AI regulation. But then obviously there's also just leveraging AI, right? And what does that look like? Right now, that can look like open source models, adopting it within your current software, whatever that software is, um, as well as the underlying commodity providers, calling commodity provider, the model providers that offer up APIs and SDKs and ADKs. Um, to me, this is just as a consultant, this is a tool in your toolbox. Anthropic is signaling to the market that we are recognizing that consultants are part of the business model and part of where we need to get to is going to be by partnering with you, being successful with you. So that signal, then me as a consultant, I'm going to take that and say, okay, I understand what you're saying. What you're saying is you're offering me the ability to put that tool in my toolbox. What does that look like? How to use your API, how to think about your SDKs, your ADKs, how to think about, the fact that you're dropping managed agents. And me as a partner, I probably want to look at your roadmap. Like, where are you going? And how should I set up your APIs, your SDKs with end clients that I'm working with to be able to scale to that next thing? It's just part of the toolbox, Chris, right? So I think you're right in the sense that how does Anthropic fit into a larger picture? I think they're probably recognizing that too. And by recognizing that, they're saying consultants and or like whatever capability that's been solving that all along, whether it's Microsoft, Salesforce, Adobe, like all of those platforms, whoever capability has been solving that, we need to enable them with our tech so they can make that kind of fit all in for whatever organization you're consulting. That I think is what the signal is to the market. As a consultant, I take that, understand this is now just a tool in my tool belt, put it in, go out to market and figure out how to make this the whole thing work.
Is it attractive to you um, from a company lens, like a partner company lens,
Mm-hmm.
to consider becoming an official Anthropic partner? Or is it too amorphous right now?
Mm-hmm.
Like, because as I mentioned, like, I don't think you're ever going to build, at least not right now, an entire solution on top of Anthropic.
Yeah.
So, does it make sense to go through the process and become a recognized partner? Is it, well, I say that from a business lens, does that make sense? But also, is it just like you need to know it and you need to be able to say you can do it? And from a business perspective, that's the value of getting in now, even though it may not be clear how you work in
Yeah.
these things.
Look, I think the challenge in answering that question is we're gonna have audiences from small businesses all the way to enterprise
Mm-hmm.
level consultancies. So um, I think the answer is going to depend on your size of business, your focus area, and how many partnerships can you manage, right? Like, I think if you can manage every partnership in the world, then yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense, right? Because OpenAI is going to open up a partnership
Mm-hmm.
eventually, and Facebook's going to want one for whatever they end up kind of create, or Meta, sorry, Meta, whatever they end up putting out there, Google, right? All these providers are going to eventually have a partnership program, just like Anthropic. So,
Mm-hmm.
can you manage them all? I That's up to you. Um, if not, if you cannot manage them all, then you have to decide where you're going to put your bets, right? If I'm looking at what Anthropic's been able to do with their share of the pie as it relates to the enterprise market, I mean that's a compelling argument as to why I'd want to do the Anthropic partnership, right? So now let's say that's still not enough of a reason because I'm just getting started or a small business or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't know then, right? Like if you're going to get distracted away from your core value proposition and get lost in the sauce that is like the partnership program, everything that requires and what you have to do there, then maybe not, right? It might just be enough to do a few trainings and just understand the technology and keep up with that. Because right now, I think that's way more important is keeping up,
Is
and
keeping up. Okay.
that doesn't mean just with Anthropic, like keeping up with everything as a whole. Yeah.
Okay. So part of the reason we think they've been launching all of these initiatives, that could be something like a partner program, or that could be literal products and features, is because there was, or is, supposedly a new model.
Mm-hmm.
It's called Mythos, and
Mm-hmm.
it is a step change. And
Yeah.
most of the industry defines a step change to be like the next level of performance, not just an incremental percentage of performance. And I think right now, what I've read, um, and I did not do hard reporting, so don't hold me to this, but like they're saying it's somewhere between a 10 to 20% bump in
Hmm.
what it can do. And compared to what it could already do, that's enormous. Like it may not sound big, but like it's
Yeah.
enormous.
Hmm.
And they've had this model supposedly, like internally, they're using it
Hmm.
to power all of this stuff. The interesting thing is they, the rumor is they want to do kind of like a metered release because it has gotten so good at code, it can figure out what the vulnerabilities and or broken pieces of pretty much anything are.
Hmm. So
So,
let's clarify that for our
okay.
audience, right?
Yeah.
When you say vulnerabilities for anything, you're specifically talking about technology that we use every day, right? So, operating systems like Windows, we're
Mm-hmm.
talking about browsers that we put our credit cards into. Like, you're talking about any piece of software that we actually interact with and we put secure and sensitive information on, it can find vulnerabilities in pretty much every major system, and then go as far as giving you a plan on how to exploit it. And that's the concern.
That is a concern. And
Hmm.
I mean, obviously, we're not in it. We haven't seen what it can
Hmm.
do. 100% it can figure out how your software works.
Hmm.
Can it extend into other systems? That would just kind of be a logical step. Like, well, of course it could,
Hmm.
right? If it has access, it could then start trying to figure out how this thing works. Like it can just pretty much reverse engineer whatever you can think of. Um, so it, this feels soon to me, like
Yeah.
soon to already have this concern. Like we can't just release this thing. Like how long have we been going through this? 2 years, maybe less than that.
Yeah, let's say give or take a month, about 2 years, right?
Yeah.
And so, yes, it feels soon. Um, Now, I think let's dissect that, right? So,
Okay.
you say it feels soon. That means we believed we would get here eventually. And when we said we believed we'd get here eventually, I think we were really worried about the reaction, um, and how that model would then be used. And I agree with you. I think it's sooner than we thought. But that's been the name of the game. Like this whole thing's been accelerating faster than we thought, right? My focus instead is on the reaction,
Okay.
right? Anthropic didn't just release this out to the wild. They decided that their response was going to be to create a project called Project Glasswing. I think that's what they're calling it. Um, and they've launched that, committing about 100 million in model usage credits to help partners that they've dictated, like, you guys are our partners. We're going to give you 100 million in model credits. Use this tool to find the vulnerabilities and fix them in your critical software infrastructure. Um, and then they donated a few amount of dollars to like critical security organizations. So they pretty much partnered with every like large scale major tech company and organization for critical software and said, fix the issues because this thing exists, and it if we can create it, someone else can create it.
Mm-hmm.
And so we want to give you a preview to kind of like combat what might come and what probably will come. I don't think that's a response that we predicted, right? I think we were kind of fear driven in thinking like when that model would be created, it would just go out there and kind of the whole thing would come down. I like to
Mm-hmm.
focus on the response because I think it's a good one. We also saw a government response where they got like banks together, to make sure they get a preview to like do the same thing, close up
Mm-hmm.
some of the issues and whatnot. Um, we'll see how that goes, right? We imagine that they will try to fix up the vulnerabilities and whatever it is, but the fact that that's been the response is so interesting. It's so fascinating to me, um, because the model, we knew it was coming. I mean, you're saying soon, but that implies we knew
Mm-hmm.
eventually, right?
Mm-hmm.
What's your take on the response?
Uh, it's so fascinating. Like I applaud the idea that it wasn't just release and we will learn through um, results.
Yeah.
Like they recognize something
Hmm.
through internal testing and results and been like, all right, like we can't, this is not just going to be a normal release.
Hmm.
This needs to be measured. We need to
Yep.
get other people involved. But the response was, and this is how I'm framing it. This may not be the best frame, but it's the best defense against a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun. So we're going to give the banks and all of
Yeah.
these tech partners like the weapon for defense,
Hmm.
but that absolutely implies that the thing itself can be weaponized.
Yeah. Like the concept, I'll use the concept of hacker versus ethical hacker, right?
Okay.
And for audiences, you know, I think everyone knows what a hacker is. So I'll go to ethical hacker. Ethical hacker is someone that goes out, looks for issues, and instead of intending to exploit them, they let the company know, and they say, hey, this is an issue. I found it. Happy to take a what they call quote unquote a bounty
Mm-hmm.
to in exchange of my services. So those ethical hackers exist. I think that's kind of the analogy here, right? The tool can be used to ethically hack. It can also be used to hack. Um, I think this pushes the bounds of cybersecurity, though, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
it pushes the bounds of what it means to do cybersecurity. It also pushes the bounds of what it means to do good tech, because I realize I'm giving you the positive framing on all this, but if that exists, then I presume that on the flip side, it's also getting better at coding things without vulnerabilities,
Mm-hmm.
because it implies that it understands where those vulnerabilities could exist and how to find them and where to find them, learns from them, and then pushes out better code. So I I think there's going to be a yin and yang to all of this,
Yeah.
everything,
Yes.
always, not just AI,
Always.
always.
Yeah.
Um, but like the positive side to that is that it implies that there is something something that's improving in terms of coding model to push out better tech. They're giving a
Mm-hmm.
preview, which is awesome, because the
Yeah.
tech we've already created are going to have those vulnerabilities. We got to get that shored up. But looking future wise, like I think this is really interesting to do better, because those security issues existed whether Mythos existed or not.
I think yes. So let's be clear. There are always organizations and structures attacking everything cyber 24
Mm-hmm.
hours a day, 7 days a week. This is not new.
Yep.
This is just um, uh, recognition that it can be done at a new level. Um,
Yes.
I am by nature an optimist, so like
Mm-hmm.
I am excited by the idea or pleased by the idea that this was a measured or it is a measured
Yep.
approach.
Mm-hmm.
Like that actually makes me very happy. I do think maybe you touched on a brand new like market for AI, which is companies are going to start paying for always on ethical hacking against my stuff.
Absolutely. And,
Like,
and if you're not already doing it, I think you're behind actually, right? Like
yeah,
if you're a software company or doing software, you should try to ethically hack with an always on LLM, just trying to
always
poke
on.
holes.
That's the
Yeah.
difference, right? It's just always, always
Yeah.
like this will be
Hmm.
an everlasting cycle of
Yes.
attack, repair, attack, repair, attack,
Yeah.
repair.
And that
Yeah.
and that's I think that's what, penetration testing and scale
Mm-hmm.
testing, like there's frameworks and methodologies that always existed. This
Mm-hmm.
is just a mechanism of which to do it at a scale that we've never seen, at a quality we've never seen.
Yeah. Okay. We've talked a lot about Anthropic.
Yeah, have you heard of a
Um,
company called OpenAI?
uh, where are they? Like, what's happening? Like, we can't close without talking about the other major player. So last we heard,
Yeah,
and you talk about this like this was months ago. This was not months ago. Like this was like maybe 2 weeks ago. They
yeah,
hired the creator of OpenClaw.
yes.
We haven't heard much from them since that happened.
And they decommissioned Sora, right?
And they decommissioned. Yeah, they got rid of something.
Yes,
They hired someone, and then I haven't like there haven't been any other major press releases.
yes. There's a lot here. There's a lot here to unpack, right? I think one major facet that we could discuss, and we're going to reserve this for a future episode, but one major facet we could discuss is they didn't focus on enterprise to start, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think they couldn't because they were the first mover, and to show to the world they had to focus on kind of individual. They had to get us individually hooked.
Mm-hmm.
Anthropic had the luxury of going second, where we already saw the value as an individual, and then Anthropic said we'll focus on the enterprise because now cat's out of the bag.
Mm-hmm.
OpenAI now has to make the shift to enterprise, um, and they have the first mover disadvantage in this case that they didn't get a chance to focus on that first. Um, the other part to this is, to me, what the hiring or acqui-hire, whatever it is, of OpenClaw that they did signaled to me that they couldn't figure out how to do managed agents the way that Claude did. And I believe both of them had a vision where their managed agents were going to be a thing in the future, or what
Do
Claude
you
is calling managed agents.
do you think that is truly a sign, or is it just a we can't let that person be out in uh, the ecosystem for someone else to hire? Like maybe they were close, and they're like, we can't let somebody snatch this up and take the market from us, that kind of thing.
I, I don't know. I don't know. That's a Facebook or Meta. Sorry, there's a Meta playbook to that, right? Like that's how
Yeah.
Meta operated.
Mm-hmm.
OpenAI didn't operate that way,
Okay.
right? And you might be right. That might have just been a this guy's just too good to pass
Mm-hmm.
up. We have to bring him in. But I will say that that would have been the first time they did that, right? They
Okay.
have not operated that way before, and neither has Anthropic, right? So you might be right. You might be right that they just wanted that
You
person.
take a piece off the chessboard, so to speak.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, sure, maybe. Uh,
Maybe.
I think that's been Meta's game. Um,
Okay. Well,
with
then, so what
OpenAI,
do you think they're going to do now that they've brought him in? Like, do you think their next major announcement is going to be something like OpenClaw?
I think it has to be right. I think they have to respond to managed agents. Um, they have to respond to Claude Cowork. I mean, there's a lot of things they have to respond to still. They have to
Yeah.
respond to managed agents. They have to respond to Cowork. They still have to respond to Claude Code and its efficacy as it relates to individual developer output. And they still have to figure out now, like, are we really in the lead on model capacity at this point? Right? We've got Claude talking about Mythos, and OpenAI hasn't released a flagship model in, I mean, a long time. In the AI world, it's
Yes,
weeks,
by
but
today's
like,
standards, it's forever. It's probably been hours, but yes.
right? So where are all the responses on this?
Hmm.
And to me, the only way that they can go about this is have an answer for each, or drop something big of their own.
Yeah.
And I don't know what that is yet, but I'm gonna bet that they're focused on an answer for each one of these.
I want to give them a tiny bit of credit. Like, I haven't seen a big announcement about it, but I've been seeing ads, personal ads, about
Mm,
how Codex is like the Windows, the answer for Windows. Like you can run this on your
yeah,
Windows machine and it can do all of these fantastic things. So I think you're right. Like they are trying to figure out a way in to enterprise, and they know that enterprises still largely today run on Windows.
yeah.
Like, so that seems like a great approach. But other than that,
Well, actually,
they've been
not
so
other.
silent.
So I thought you were gonna say something different.
Oh, okay.
When you said ads, I thought you were gonna say they are creating a beta program right now for companies to run ads inside of ChatGPT,
Oh.
which is something that they're
Mhm.
doing that is different than the market. And I've got friends that work at companies that are part of that beta program, and it's kind of a, of course we're going to run the ad and we're going to see what happens because if if Joe Schmo opens up an ad platform, we're going to run ads and see if there's any
Right.
ROI there. This is not Joe Schmo. This is OpenAI. Of course, we're going to do it. But the question then becomes like, are they just they're just so off into the individual license? How do they make that shift to enterprise? And maybe this shift to enterprise isn't let's focus on the enterprise. It's let's let enterprises focus on our users.
Hmm.
The Facebook model of if you're not paying for the thing, you're the actual product. Um, are we going to become the product on ChatGPT when the ads
Right.
start popping up? I don't know. I don't know, but it is a pricing commercialization strategy.
All right. Very last thought on this. Do you think today is the fork between the two, between OpenAI and Anthropic? Like they are
Hmm.
probably going to end up at different places. Do you
Hmm.
feel that, or do you think they're all still trying to come together and AGI is the goal?
I think AGI is the goal. I don't
Okay.
think that means they're trying to come together.
Okay.
I think they all have very different visions of it. Um, I think when I say all, right, like Meta, Google, all the open source models out there, and then obviously OpenAI, Claude, or sorry, Anthropic. I don't think this is the major fork. I don't.
Okay.
I think we're going to have, if we've learned anything, it's we're going to count someone out. The last one we counted out was Google, and then all of a sudden they're going to announce something. Right? It's
Right.
it's when we count them out, when they've been quiet for a while, where they come out and they go, "Oh, we've been quiet because
Hmm.
Big Bang," right? So it's when we count them out. So I think if we've learned anything, they're going to just continue to keep building. I think it's good for us because it keeps the pressure on for them to continue to release good things, features that we like, um, and continue to innovate. I'm not ready to say this is the fork. I think
Hmm.
Google's working on something big. I think OpenAI is working on something big. I think Anthropic is. The question that I think ultimately I'm asking is not necessarily if this is the fork, is that why is Anthropic just moving what feels like so much faster than everyone else? And that's where it gives rise to this concept of
Hmm.
do they got a superpower model back there somewhere? And if that's the case, if we can validate that, Chris, then yeah, we might be looking at a fork because once we unleash that, it's going to be hard for everyone else to keep up.
Yeah. Once one of them reaches the ability for exponential improvement, which they are on, but there's like a curve, right? And at
Yeah.
one point, it just becomes overwhelmingly fast.
Hmm.
And obviously, the company that gets there first is going to have quite the advantage. Um, but we won't know that for a little while.
Yes.
Uh, so thank you for your thoughts today. This was super fun. This was a fun episode. I hope everyone out there enjoyed it. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell your strangers that you see on the street. Your strangers. I just somehow created a new thing in life. So tell all your strangers that you can listen to the Tik and Chris podcast on Spotify and Apple Music. And if you'd like to watch us, we're on YouTube. So thank you all so much. And we will talk to you again next time.
And like and subscribe.
And like and subscribe.
Thanks, everyone.